If your main focus is to learn how to outsmart the manipulator, you are already in trouble, because that means you're still playing defense in a game that you should have left a long time ago. You're not evolving, you're just reacting. And people like that, they don't escape manipulation, they just survive it. Most people think that the solution is awareness, like learning the signs, learning the tactics, learning how they operate. But what happens is you don't become more free, you just become more paranoid. You start reading everything twice, you start questioning tone, you start to analyze people instead of experiencing them. Without even realizing it, your whole life starts to become a threat assessment. That's not strength, that's mental capacity. Here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. When your focus is on manipulators, you're still orbiting manipulators. You're still letting them take up space in your mind. Still letting them shape your decisions, and you're still letting them define how careful you should be. And the worst part is, no offense, but you think that's intelligent. And let me tell you, it's not. It's attachment dressed up as self-awareness. Well, imagine you're playing chess with somebody who cheats. You learn their tricks, you memorize their patterns, you anticipate their next move. You might even start to get good at it. But the thing is, you're still at the same table with the same type of person playing the same type of games. I'm gonna say something that most people need to hear. You are still playing chess with people who don't deserve your board time. Because the problem was never your strategy, it was your decision to still stay in the game. Now the question becomes, why do people stay in this sort of dynamic? It's not stupidity, it's not conditioning. Some people were trained to explain themselves constantly, tolerate inconsistent behavior, give second chances that become a third, fourth, fifth chance, believe confusion in a relationship is normal, think boundaries are being difficult. So when manipulators show up, it doesn't feel like danger. It feels familiar, and familiar is dangerous because you stop questioning what should have been a clear exit plan. Here's where people really start to get stuck. They don't leave, they analyze. They don't walk away, they decode. They don't trust what they build. Instead, they build a case file in their head. They'll say things like, oh, maybe I misunderstood, or maybe I'm overthinking, maybe they didn't mean it that way. Every time you do that, you weaken your perception. You slowly disconnect to your instincts. And that's how people get trapped without realizing they're even trapped. So what's the alternative? It's not becoming better at detecting manipulation. It becomes someone who doesn't tolerate the environment where manipulators grow. So that means you stop tolerating inconsistent behavior. You stop needing closure from people who were never honest with you in the beginning. And most importantly, you stop over-explaining your boundaries to people who benefited from ignoring them. Because manipulators, they don't survive clarity. They survive hesitation. Manipulation is not some magic spell that people put on you. It only works when access is granted. Access to your attention, your emotions, your time, your forgiveness, your uncertainty. And most people hand that access freely. And not because they're weak, but because they don't understand that access is something that you need to earn. When you change your standards of access, you don't need to fight manipulation. You just simply remove the entry point. People think that strength is arguing better, spotting lies better, having a perfect response. That is not strength. Strength is silence when something doesn't align. Strength is leaving without an announcement. Strength is not re-entering a conversation that you already outgrown. Strength is not negotiating with behavior that already told you everything that you need to know. And lastly, not needing to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you. If someone confuses you repeatedly, changes their tone depending on what they want, makes you feel like you're always trying to figure them out, requires you to constantly interrupt your behavior, that's not complexity, that is instability. And your job is not to decode it. Your job is to recognize it and then take a step back. Clarity doesn't require an investigation. It requires distance from the confusion. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You don't need a better defense strategy. You need better discernment in regards to who gets access to you, because manipulators will never beat someone with a strong sense of awareness. They bypass people who tend to hesitate for too long, try hard to understand people's inconsistencies, keep reopening doors that should have been closed. Every time you engage instead of exiting, you teach people how to treat you without even saying a word. Stop trying to outsmart people who thrive in confusion. Stop trying to build mental strategies from situations that you should have walked away from. Stop sitting in rooms where you already felt something was off. You don't need to outthink a manipulator. You need to stop being in places where manipulators thrive. And when you do that, you'll realize something simple. They were never that powerful. You were just available.